I think it has something to do with our not knowing of it actually. Like that is how the conscious deals with it. It's just to not know about it. Literally, because if the conscious mind does not know about it, theoretically it doesn't exist.
Oh, bro.
And yes, we are live. Hello,
Yeah.
everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Yo, did
Welcome.
we just do a proper intro?
We
That
did.
actually
We
just
did. Look at
happened.
that. Like, believe it or
Yo.
not, we will slightly, bits by bits, get better and better at doing this. Eventually, we
Yeah.
would actually be considered pros. Believe it or not.
I don't know, man. I think it's a ways off.
A ways off,
Nah,
but it's not nowhere. It's not
nah, dude.
unimaginable in the infinite set again.
Dude, like, what's incredible for me to see is we haven't actually, like, I haven't looked at any videos or read anything on how to do podcasts. All, like, it's so incredible to see the difference in when we started the very first stream and where we are now. Like, I mean, I think we're approaching 40 weeks that we've been doing this podcast, and I'd like to think we've gotten better at it. And dude, it's so cool. It's so cool the fact that we can just by continuously experiencing something, learn so much from it without consciously trying.
It's this. How do you explain that? Actually, I guess it's just the myelin seeds. The more you practice a certain pattern of neuron firing, the better you get at
Yeah, dude.
practicing that neuron, if you will, or that pattern. And
Dude,
you keep
it's
doing that, and it is something that's underlying. But I wonder if it's possible for us to influence it in some way.
I absolutely, dude. I recently saw that video again of the brain cells like reaching out to try and find connections in a petri dish. And again, it just made me realize how malleable your brain is. It's incredible. And if we can, and actually I've been thinking about this recently. You know, we had the discussion on like your conscious and your subconscious brain acting on any being the universe and all of that, the underlying understanding of what the nature of the universe is, as consciousness being your more egocentric and your subconscious being the literal universe. And I was thinking about it, and you know what's incredible? The fact that I can lift my arm is almost 100% proof that I can change my own brain, because this me lifting my arm is veritable action that I am imposing on our reality.
Mhm.
It
That's a
and
great
it's
point.
not, yeah, it's not like it's not like it's, I don't know how, it's not like a, what would you call it? It's not like a psychic idea, like I have telekinesis or something like that. You have, even if it's, maybe it's not fully possible to influence something externally to what we call our body, maybe it is. We may
Dude,
not be far enough.
technology very soon is gonna be.
Yeah, dude, actually, you're very right. Like, that is pretty much us eventually. Like, I mean, your computer or your phone, when you don't have it, a piece of you is missing.
Yeah, you literally have this extension of yourself, and
Dude.
you can think of that like we call it an extension of ourselves. But think about it in this way: there are infinite mini little extensions of yourselves to every potential person on this planet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Dude. So I remember I talked about it at last on the last podcast, but I really like the idea of viewing our connection with reality as like a fifth dimensional shape. Because what's incredible is it that infinity extends way past the human race. Every little thing that you have ever interacted with, you have formed some type of connection with it. And that's incredible. Like this lighter in front of me, it's uniquely and wholly mine. I know it can be given to somebody else, but this is my lighter. I have scratch marks on it that I made it, and I don't know, dude. There's so many connections that we continuously make in everyday life. And then like the complexity of connections with other conscious things. Yo, dude.
Other conscious things, dude. Like, and again, where do we draw the line? Because we like to imagine that our consciousness or our flavor of consciousness is the ideal or the perfect flavor of consciousness at the moment, because that's what we know. But that is probably believed for every single level or layer of consciousness all the way up and down.
Yo, dude. Yo, dude. Like that's the thing we were speaking about it before the podcast here, but I just want to bring it up. So recently I had this epiphany for finally understanding the difference between the subconscious and the conscious brain, as the subconscious being the literal play of reality, work, like the sun shines or like your heart beats. You have no control over it, but inevitably it happens. Um, and where was I taking this? What were we talking about right before the time?
Your epiphany,
Your
the
epiphany and
the epiphany
wow.
you had.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to remember where I was taking this
So
because it was
consolidating your
oh,
understanding of the
and
subconscious
yes,
and
the level of consciousness. Now, the question comes in, if we understand the subconscious as being the actual action of reality taking place continuously, again, it falls to that point of what do you think it's like complete and utter levels that consciousness takes, where each level indicates a higher band, kind of like in the way sound becomes a higher pitch the higher up it goes, and lower pitch
or
the lower it
light
goes?
becomes a different color.
Mm.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
dude.
dude. That's exactly how it works. At least that's what I believe. Because you can tune your brain into its different frequencies, and different things do that. Breathwork does that, meditation does that, psychedelics do that, like death does that. There's these shifting of frequencies, and you can shift into different frequencies as you age as well. And you see that happening with people's behavior.
Whoa, dude. See, I remember us talking about this once on a shrooms trip about the like different levels of reality, and that is something that is like so crazy to think about, because you also only have access to a certain amount of this frequency of what we consider to be consciousness, and you can tell when another person is not on the same frequency, and it might not even be a conscious thing. You just, like we were talking about connections, how like or the sixth sense, how is it that we always have this intrinsic understanding of what is happening around us? Do you do you think it has to do something with how the subconscious subconsciously alludes to things, or
Yeah,
has its
literally. Because if the conscious mind does not know about it, theoretically it doesn't exist.
oh bro. Whoa, that's incredible, because we were talking about at the end of the last stream about how if you were God, what would you do to entertain yourself, make yourself forget and live in the thing you created?
Hmm.
And by forgetting, it would become null and void to you, as because each one of us has complete and utter personal understanding of the universe. Whoa, dude, you have just melting.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It's I
Dude.
promise. I feel the ever since this name almost came to me, there's like this alignment with information that is indicative of that feeling, dude. Like it's a trip.
Dude. Like
Life
my
is
my
beautiful though, dude. Like having
dude.
experiences like this, and I made sounds. I made sounds, and then you had an experience, dude. What the fuck?
Dude, big experience, not little experience, big one. Dude, this reality's bonkers, dude. It's a fucking insane. And to like think about what something like DMT does to that understanding of reality is incomprehensible, even to you who has done it. It is incomprehensible what it does to you. Like, I remember Terence McKenna said it the best I've ever heard anybody say. I understand something that I cannot explain to you. No
Something
words could,
unsayable.
yeah, literally unsayable. There's no way for us to express that which is that side.
Like and like for me, and this is like the perfect juxtaposition. The way that I try to explain it is
We can try, dude.
exactly, dude. So imagine, imagine the way that you would look out on an ocean front, and you see the plane of water, and you see this night, and you see the sky, and maybe there's like some waves happening, and maybe there are some clouds moving, and all of these things are happening relatively palatable, in a speed, and you can in that way, because it's so palatable as a speed, try and explain it. You can like, oh yeah, there's the beach sand, and then some waves coming in, clouds, some birds flying in the sky, whatever your explanation is. And then if you try and extrapolate that same type of scenario, now you're sitting on a fifth dimensional beach. But instead of this beach just being, a normal, like, oh, I'm gonna move slowly beach, now you have all possible beaches that have ever existed overlaid on top of one another. And instead of it just being this mush, it like filters through into these complex geometries to try and explain the complexity of that information. And then instead of it just being a single snapshot that you can start to explain, that snapshot is 1,000th of a frame that you get in 1 second, and then you have this mosaic of stuff moving trying to explain this information to you. That's why it's impossible to convey that information back, because it's communicated in a way that's visual, not so much with words.
Yeah, because to be fair, but weirdly enough, you can tell me sound feels two-dimensional to me. And by two-dimensional, I mean the fact that all of the sound I'm currently making is either high-pitched or low-pitched. And that's what's producing the different tones and different emphases on sounds to create the feelings you're understanding. I've tried of thinking of as sound as a three-dimensional object, but I just maybe width in the sense of like elongating those waves.
The way that I would, try and convince you of sound as a three-dimensional object would just be to imagine sound as a cone coming out of your face and then expanding as it moves away from you, and then hitting things that gets either absorbed or bounced back, and that's what echoing is. Yeah. So, and then it becomes these three-dimensional waves that are like influxing throughout the room, basically canceling each other out or amplifying one another inside of the room as well. Sound is wacky, dude.
Dude, sound is fucking wacky, because like I understand the point, or I understand like the idea of sound and how it moves through the air. What I'm more questioning is in this, like, how do I explain this question? Because the question's so far out there. So you understand, that in making sound, or how sounds work, you understand the pitch of high equals high pitch, low equals low pitch.
Yeah.
That in of itself is a two-dimensional object because of how. But then, okay, I will conclude that my end to this is that I would view sound as a three-dimensional object. Yeah, my brain is mush trying to understand
stuff I feel from what you're saying as well. If you look at the representation of sound and the way that we're normally kind of fed it, if you will, is usually in a two-dimensional way, where we have the ability to, pitch a tone up or pitch a tone down and then hear the differences in that two-dimensional way, if you will. And then we associate that. But what's happening is literally from that speaker, it's literally vibrating, hitting those waves, creating these pulses, and the higher the frequency, the closer those pulses are to each other. The lower the frequencies, the further away those pulses are from one another. And it's creating these three-dimensional waves going out into the universe. And then it's hitting your little ears, and it like is shaking because of those frequencies that's now in the air. It's, oh goodness, it is so beautifully weird, dude. And if we didn't have these ear organs, these things would just be out in the world and we would not have any clue about them. And then you can extrapolate that from how many things are out there which we do not have senses for.
Dude, well, I mean, we are just the known spectrum of light, dude. Just light. We're talking about the regular photon is, and what we can see a fuckload of that spectrum. But there's so much more to light that we have no idea. Like, imagine if you could at all times see polarized light. Or, what was the other one? Like, imagine you had the sight of
Dude,
the
infrared,
mantis
dude.
shrimp.
Infrared would
dude.
be flipping lit, dude.
Oh, dude, I still think infrared would be one of the most incredible ways of seeing the world.
Like, not only is it very useful as like an extra way of seeing would have, like from a survival standpoint or functionality standpoint, but you would literally be able to see the world in a completely different way. Have you looked at infrared photography?
I have.
Dude, it's amazing. Like, looking at the world like that would be so surreal.
Dude, I also think so. I'm not like, imagine, I just feel like you'd see so much more going on in the world that you never even realized. I saw this it wasn't even like supposed to be a representation of this, but it was so cool to see this guy called, I'm pretty sure you know, Linus Tech Tips. He's this
sure.
like YouTuber, YouTuber that does tech things. He had this video 3 months ago
Also,
where
underwear model.
Really?
You don't understand that joke? Yeah, dude. He's the model for their Linus Tech Tip underwear. Like, I watch a lot of their videos.
Yeah, dude.
I'm sorry, I just bowled you out a little bit there. Sorry
No worries, dude. And he was doing this test where he was doing like water cooling on a passive cooler for a CPU, and a passive cooler is like, in your CPU normal cooler, you have two fans attached to like metal, and that metal goes into your CPU, and the metal distributes the heat, and then the fans cool them. And so what he did is he took the fans off, and he wanted to see what would happen if you water cooled a air cooler. And so he put it in the water and everything, and he was using a thermal camera to look at what was the temperatures happening around. And what was so incredible to see is like only like a centimeter of the water was getting heated up by the actual metal, and the rest was cold enough that the transition from the conduction of heat wasn't reaching it anymore. And all he did, if you would look through it, you could blow and like watch the swirl of pattern as the hot water dissipates out into the cold and turns back to the other color.
Dude, you literally have a way to watch fractal turbulence, dude.
Yeah, dude. Like, literally, you could... It is ridiculous what you'd be able to see with that. And then we're not even talking about, like, X-ray. X-ray would be incredible. The only problem is you couldn't do anything with it. Because if you look at somebody long enough, it's just going to be detrimental to their health.
Yeah. You just fuck everything you want to look at. I mean, that's the good old Superman joke where every single woman in his life has breast cancer.
Yeah, had breast cancer.
That's so messed up.
Dude, memes are the greatest thing.
It's interesting, like, listening to Ted McKenna's talks. He talks about memes a bunch, actually, dude.
Really? I haven't heard any of his talks on memes.
Really, dude? Like,
No.
go and Google stuff Terrence McKenna said about memes, dude. Like, Terrence McKenna talks about memes as these ways of communicating, ways of language that is visual in a sense as well, dude. And you can see it happening in society as well, bro. Like, it's very interesting. Like, people talk about their suffering, their happy thoughts, their joys, their like literally the full spectrum of human emotion can be captured in some sort of meme.
I agree, dude, because it's like a completely full sensory experience. A good meme. Some are just visual, but if you throw some music onto a meme, you could add so many different sensory like impulses that can be expanded as
And then,
emotion.
like, sorry for interrupting, but then
No
imagine
worries, dude.
a Christian joins us out of the nowhere. Imagine that.
Nowhere, dude.
Oh
How
goodness, what is
Steve.
that? Did a Christian just join us? Well, welcome, friend. It's nice to have you, man.
It's so nice to be back. Sorry, boys. I
We
had
were just
some
talking.
family-
Like, I'm sorry for interrupting you. Thank you for being here. We're in the thick of it. We're talking about memes, and the question that I want to ask: imagine going into the future. We have more and more access to bandwidth. So we have visual, sure, the screen. We have audio, our earphones. Then we have smell-o-vision. Then we have some sort of heat or cold sensor. And then we could be integrating all of these ways of communicating into a meme, communicating more and more depth, if you would.
Okay.
dude,
The point we're trying to make is
we were talking about the ability to experience the world in thermal vision as the idea of like using or experiencing reality with senses, and then we went over into talking to memes about the ability to use those senses to express emotion and the general appeal and worries of humanity.
as an example, would it be viable to say like you get your midterm results and your parent opens up that envelope and it's like, I smell shit.
Oh shit. I mean, that's a meme, dude. That communicates a lot of information to me. Like, you're saying something simple. It's like a haiku, almost.
Yeah, it's like a haiku, dude. Actually, no. I want to talk about this because I know a lot of people are going. I would love to know your opinion on this, but I actually think we have gotten to a point where we're starting to break communication because what is happening now is I had this experience this morning with one of my friends. I don't remember, something happened. And I was, what was it? I can't remember exactly, but it was like, I said, yeah, he went rip, I went, and that was a full conversation about a subject, about what happened, it was a sad experience, it conveyed so much in 3, like, grunts.
Yeah, literally the simple expression of like,
Yeah, dude, oof.
That
Like,
makes me think of the whole Office episode. Why say many word when little word do job?
like, but I think it's actually what's happening is because we're so exposed.
It's been happening, Johan.
Yeah, I know it has. It's been happening so since humanity started. But like, if you think about the change in the way that we talk from like the 17th century English people who would have said like full on.
But the whole point of the 17th century English people was that they were trying to make it as artsy and fartsy and as convoluted as possible to show us an interpretation of class, if I can put it that way. If you could say a sentence in a flowy, artful, poetic kind of way, you were seen as far more intelligent than the rest of the populace that could express that exact expression.
Okay,
It's like
it's
lol.
trippy that you bring this up because this is actually something I hoped came up, but it didn't. We were supposed to have another poet friend here, and I was like, somehow preparing myself. Somehow preparing myself, I was like listening randomly to a Terence McKenna talk, and I skipped. It was like a 4 hour 50-minute one, and I skipped to exactly 1 hour 11 minutes and 11 seconds. And then he went into talking about someone asks him, and then he goes into talking about white noise / river noise, and how there is this one line where someone says poetry is written close to falling water or moving water, and how he talked about how he was in the rainforest on a lot of tryptamines as he talks about it, and he was getting closer and closer to...
Of course he was.
Of course, yeah. I mean, he was getting closer and closer to a waterfall. And as he was getting closer and closer, he started to rhyme. His thoughts started to fall into this rhythmic pattern. Like, what do you think about that, Christian? Have you ever tried to write poetry close to moving water or with white noise?
Dude, for me, some of the moments in my life where I've written some of my best works was when I was close to the ocean. When I had... it's not exactly flowing water, but it's constantly alive and active water. You know, the ocean is never really still. Even at calmer beaches, you know, where the water is a little more tranquil, it is still constantly moving, constantly alive, you know?
It's like this visceral
Um,
thing you feel.
yeah, even if it's like a calm bay and it's all tranquil and almost mirror-like, the water is still very much moving. It's not like in a lake or a dam where you get moments where it is completely still, you know? With the ocean, there's constant life. I don't care at which part of the ocean that you're sitting at, you will see it moving. Whether it be the most minute of movements, it is moving. And on top of that, I was in a place where it was either there was transitions between it being so calm and tranquil, where it was, like I said before, almost like mirror-like. It was barely rippling. There were tiny little variations, tiny little um like like it was
Bumps.
basically, yeah, little bumps, little like barely visible, you know. And then there were days where it was absolutely mad,
Yeah,
like
dude.
5 meter to 6 meter swells and horrifying, you know, giant motions in the bay. And I really fell in love with it, of how it was capable of doing that, you know, of having moments where it was so completely surreal and serene and serendipitous and calm and beautifully beautifully enticing in its tranquility, and other moments where it was like, I'm gonna fuck your entire week up, my bro.
Dude,
What do you think
I'm gonna
about what do you think about the feeling that even though, you know, the sea and the weather can make things feel so different, they don't technically change the space.
What do you mean don't change the space?
It's still the exact same space that the events are playing off in.
but the interactions cause them to be different.
Like
It's
it's literally your perception of that interaction that creates that, you know, surreal sense. If it wasn't for you, that
you know what I
emotion, that
really
feeling wouldn't be there, and maybe
what
that's
I
why it
really love
creates
about the
poetry as
ocean,
well.
what I really love about the ocean, right? It's not like a mountain, right? A mountain, sure, the weather may change. It might be stormy or very sunny one day, or it might be snowing the other day, and all of that. Sure, the weather might change, but the mountain in our lifespan doesn't change much at all. You know, it's very much the way it is. It's very much the mountain. Whereas with the ocean, it is constant change. It is unfathomable, unmeasurable. Like the pattern is constantly weaving and waning, and you know, a new thing is coming up each and every time. No wave is similar to the old wave, you know. And that's kind of why I fell in love with the ocean more than I did with like mountains or even forests. Is their transition is far more slower, you know, far slower and far more controlled, and you can see the things happening. Whereas you go to the beach one day and it can be calm and tranquil and peaceful and beautiful, and the sunlight is reflecting off the water, and you can swim through the bay without a problem. And then you get there like 3 or 4 hours later,
Yeah.
suddenly you're about to fucking drown because the ocean is trying to kill you, you know? Where it's like, it's trying to grab you and
Dude.
drag you out in a rip current. Or there are a shit ton of other animals in there that I don't know, it's like mating season or something for sharks. And,
Dude, I
you
don't
know,
think sharks are aggressive during
no,
mating
well,
season.
of course they're not, of course not. But you know what I mean. It's like this constant aliveness about
I
it.
think
There's
I think
unpredictability.
dude, I think the reason is because water is so fluid. And
Yeah.
what water allows is water does the incredible thing that a mirror does, in that it reflects anything thrown at it, in some capacity. Even a stone that sinks into it, still it completely and utterly reacts to it and then settles back to where it was. And what I think so incredible about the ocean, and why it is so incredible for me, is because it's continuously being affected by our moon, by our rotation, by the weather, by
By the
everything,
wind,
by
by
literally
the
everything.
sun, by
And
all of it.
that's why you asked that question of, without him, I think I think that I wonder. I wonder if we can. I absolutely class the ocean as being one of the quote unquote alive places. Maybe not in the sense that
Dude, it
we.
is. It's not for nothingness or for no reason that they used to say during the pirate age that men are attracted to the sea. That human beings are attracted to the sea because it is one of the most amazing personifications of life. It is literally
Well, it's life juice.
So
right.
I agree with you, and I want to say something else as well. It's also one of the best personifications of infinity for us as humans, because you look
I
out
agree.
over the
Yeah.
ocean and you just see like it just
Nah,
goes.
it goes on. It just
Yeah.
goes on past your vision, and it keeps going. It is so unfathomably large that like I don't think as human beings, I don't think to this day that we can fathom how stupidly enormous the oceans are.
Dude,
Like
dude, no,
it is
no.
it is fucking retarded
It's
how
gotten worse.
massive the oceans are.
I think it's gotten worse, dude. I think there was a time where our understanding of the size of our planet was a little better than it is right now.
Yeah. You were still traveling by boat for months.
Yeah, dude, like if you sat to go from
Months.
America to from Spain to America, it took you 4 months, 5 to a year. I don't remember what the time was. Now I get on a plane, it takes me 12. Like
Hours.
Max.
like
Max.
our entire perception, and for me, up until I was like 19, it didn't really click that I had friends in Norway, 12,000 kilometers away, that I talk to on a regular basis, and they feel like they're in my ear, in my house every time we talk. Like, I think our understanding of this planet has definitely increased, but our feeling of its size and its like true giantism,
Our fathoming of it.
yep, is definitely diminished a little bit. That's why
So
I
want to actually say something about that, because I agree completely with you, Han, and I think that might also explain the conscious uprising to actually take care of our planet, because we feel like it's becoming smaller and smaller. For the longest time, people had this vast understanding of the world, so they were like, "Oh, let's fuck some of it up." There's so much of it. So, what is a little bit of fucking it up gonna
Yeah,
do?
what are we gonna possibly do to it? Like it's so
Exactly.
fucking big.
Whoa, that's
There's no way
actually
we can affect this
really
beast.
true, because our understanding of what our planet is also really different, because we've seen it from space, dude.
Yep.
On a regular basis, you can see space, dude. You
Bruh,
can.
we
I can
were
time
we
in
were
a
we were
dude.
we were the first being undeniably to see planet Earth from a third person perspective,
You
bro.
can type in if you to go into Google and you type in NASA Live or something like that. You can watch the live feed of the International Space Station as it's currently orbiting us, and that scale of understanding our how small our planet really is while being giant is actually, I think, it's exactly that need and that realization of, oh fuck, we only have one, and it's not as big as we used to think.
No, I think we were just stunned at our own capacity to affect such a large being. I think we were completely stunned that we are capable of doing that. I think that's the transition that we're
That's
going into
also
currently as a species, is especially over since the millennials, since the start of the second millennium. We were like, oh shit, okay, we are really fucking this thing up. Like we couldn't believe it. We were like, there's no way we could. How can we? No,
Dude,
surely this
people
doesn't
still
make
don't believe.
mathematical sense.
mm-hmm.
And yet we are most definitely affecting this planet in phenomenal ways,
I
in
mean, like,
ridiculous
if you
ways.
go back in like our very old history, there was at points literal like microorganisms that created so much oxygen that our entire planet's atmosphere changed. So
Yep.
like things have
Dude,
been affecting
le-
this planet for a long time.
Dude,
Now
let's
we
just
are
go.
affecting
Let's
things
just
in a
go.
way that is going to be detrimental to us. The
Dude,
fact that
let's
we're
just go
changing the planet is
500 years. Let's just go back 500 years. What is 500 years since the 4.8 billion years of the history of this planet? Literally 500 years. Just what is that? It's not even a blink. It's not even a microsecond.
It's
You know what I mean?
0.0001%.
it is stupid. 500 years is stupidly
way
small
more.
in the existence of our planet, and yet in 500 years we have enslaved all of the natural animals that are out there. We have managed to make nature practically our bitch in many different scenarios, and we've gotten to the point where, you know, our ego and our pride has gotten, so you know how it is, they speak about it in the Bible as well, pride before the fall and all of that crap. And
Mhm.
that's the point that we are at. You know, we are seeing that our pride is definitely capable of tipping us over the edge. Or, you know, we can stop ourselves before that moment, introduce a bit of humbleness and humility before that point is reached. And the fact is we're at least conscious of that, which is phenomenal. It is miraculous and amazing that we can acknowledge this.
Dude, I want to just tell you something. So in the beginning of this podcast, we were talking about like uh things almost not existing if you don't know about them. And I think that's kind of applicable to this scenario as well. Like if you do not have conscious knowledge of something, it might as well not exist to you.
Yep,
It definitely veritably
yep,
exists.
yep.
But yeah, because I want to tell you, because I told Estian fully, but the last podcast I had this incredible epiphany. But I didn't say anything because I was like, hey, let me go think about this and just
Let
see
me
if I can.
process this.
Yeah, let me understand what I just had, and it was the realization that what you and I talk of as our subconscious mind is in reality itself. And the reason I say that is because when you look at the universe as, or if you let's take the way in which our body beats our heart, or our immune system works, or our, I don't know, our nails grow. It's done by it's done in the same way as the sun shines, or
Water
the
flows
or
or
the water
gravity
flows.
works.
It's all an unconscious, continuous process that just goes and keeps going, like your heart does. And it dawned on me that which we call the unconscious or subconscious is in fact the unconscious reality itself.
No,
And what
is
we
in
call,
fact what has been happening since before the existence
mm-hmm,
of mankind.
yep.
Since before the existence of the capability of reflection that is facilitated through consciousness.
And consciousness is the duality side of it, where it's the ego's attention or the reality's consciousness actually interacting with the subconscious. Like you can lift up your
Dude,
arm.
Dude, I'm
human
thinking.
beings,
So I just want to say this
human,
quickly, dude. I think of it as well as like consciousness can be this imagination of the universe lifting a mirror up to itself.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, dude.
Dude,
And
what we are, and until there is evidence to prove me wrong, because I base all of my arguments on evidence that has
mm-hmm.
been proven through the scientific method, that has been proven through centuries of testing and proving these facts, you know. For me, until it is proven that there exists another species out there that is remotely close to the way we interpret the universe, right, you know, for the time being, we are the most conscious and most self-reflecting, observing, and processing beings out there. We are the ones that have been given this ability to capture things, matter, information, you know, sound, smell, taste, hearing, capture it, document it, reflect on it, analyze it, come up with reporting data on it. I mean, a deer doesn't give a flying fuck what the weather is doing. A deer doesn't give a flying fuck what is happening around it. It's like, cool, I'm gonna eat, I'm gonna smell some pheromones, I'm gonna head in that direction and bone something and have some children. You know, I'm gonna put in some effort that those children should raise and, you know, get big enough, but I'm not gonna sacrifice my own life for them to survive. I'm gonna still try and like live my own thing. We are the first creatures take a step above that process and reflect upon those factual things that we look back and we're like, why am I heading in the direction of those pheromones? Why do I want to eat? Why do I feel this certain way? Why is the weather like that? Let me go in and explain this to myself. So we didn't just stop at why. We were like, cool, I'm going to actually show myself why.
Dude, I'm just imagining like consciousness or human consciousness emerging from the universe, and the first question is, "But why?"
What?
And the universe is like, "Oh
Why?
fuck, damn it, here we go again."
Dude,
Yeah, no,
it's-
no. It wasn't even like, oh fuck, here we go again. They were like, oh yeah, this. Oh fuck, I didn't think this would happen again. It's happening again.
It's happening
know,
again,
It's
dude.
happening again.
Like,
Oh
it's-
fuck, no.
it's-
How do I
it's
explain
actually-
this?
That's so incredible because it's like that's the only thing. Oh yeah, only things. That's something that babies or young kids are so fascinated by. What, oh, Dad? What's this? It does this. Why? Because of this.
For several trillion billion years. So it is. But you know what? It's come back alive. You might not remember it, or you will. And that is even more bizarre. Imagine you come out of being a rock for a million trillion gazillion
Dude, now
years.
you're a
Dude,
human.
that Rick
and
and
you-
Morty episode.
Yeah,
That's what
and now
happened to
you
Jessica.
remember. Yeah, what happened to Jessica's like, I'm a time lord. Fuck you, motherfucker.
Dude, and then like so when you guys have a chance, watch that video that I just posted. It's the VR stuff I've been working on for the
Tell
last
us a
week.
bit about it, dude.
Oh, dude. So basically, what was happening is we're doing our third year project. It's this basically a almost like Discord, but directly aimed at people who live in offices. Yes, Shahan, who work in offices but want to work from home. And so this idea, it's a web app that basically gets people together in an office space, and then you have 3D panning audio to like see where people are. And I was like, do you know what I want to do? I want to turn this like internet office space into private, actual virtual spaces. So that you could theoretically walk around the office while interacting with your people you're talking to. And so took a while, but this week, Monday, we started after a bunch of testing and stuff. But Monday we started, and I ended up developing an entire like 3D space that you could walk around. I had a ball with no gravity that you could throw around, and a ball that could bounce, and you could write on a whiteboard that you could see
Johan,
around.
I literally just watched your video, and it started off with like, "Hey Chris,
Yeah,
I have a great idea
dude,
for VR,"
Yeah.
and I was like, "What the fuck?
What the
Are you
fuck? What
fucking
meta
sorry.
universe is this?
So we have to the demo for has to be presented as a like pitch to people, and we were like, what's a good way to play on VR? What if we pretend
And this
to talk
bitch,
about
dude.
VR?
And this bitch just walks up and he's like, "Hey Chris, I have a great idea for VR." Starts drawing a heart on a whiteboard, and he's like, it's an interactive whiteboard in VR, and I was like, where did
Am I? You want my money?
Dude,
Where do I
and
sign?
like, so
I was honestly so shocked the way the video started, dude, with like, "Hey Chris, I have a great idea for VR," and I'm like, I felt so personally involved here. I was like, wow.
So, what's incredible for me with this is at one point I was designing the table, and do you know what I did? I put on the VR headset and bent down and lay on the floor and looked underneath the table to try and figure out if it was the right height. Got up, took the headset off, changed some things, put it back on, and fell on the floor again and looked at the table. And it was like I was in another reality in hours. I caught myself at one point
Yes.
from putting the controllers down on the virtual table in the office. And
Just
bro,
drop them next to you.
I almost did. There's a video of me. I'll send it on. I'll send it to you guys of me going. I nearly
Yeah, you
put
sent it
these.
to me.
Dude, I nearly put these on that table. It's like there's no table. I'm like, I know there's no table, but I
Wait.
almost did.
He thought there was a table there.
Yeah, dude, I almost fell on my ass because I put my hand trying to lean on it. What's incredible to me, dude, is how quickly your consciousness goes. Oh yeah, sick. This is real.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
were
it's
talking
absolutely-
about how we can do it with like a flat screen actually and a mouse and keyboard. Now we're taking the step where it's even easier to integrate like that.
dude. Dude, it's so cool. So I need to buy myself one. You can get an Oculus Quest, which doesn't even need wires, for 9 grand now, which is quite ridiculous if you
Johanna's
think
gonna
that
buy
like.
all of us one. Thank you,
Yo,
Johanna.
Yeah,
You're the
thank you,
best.
Johan. Thank
Dude.
you.
I never said it was
You're
cheap,
the
but if
best,
you think
Johan.
like the full Vive costs
We
35.
appreciate you.
You really are the best.
You're the
Dude,
best.
The best
Well, I
is
promise.
this.
When I start making money, I'll get us some. I'll what I
Like
the
I just
thing is-
imagine us all showing up with a vibe for everyone, and we just have 9 vibes in the room. Or like, oh, okay, fuck. We should have thought this
Like,
through.
yeah, fuck, bro, come on, dude. At least we have
I'm looking
Jeremy.
forward to it. That you guys are my hope, you know. Like I'm waiting to live in one of y'all's basement and just be happy and content with my
I'll
life.
definitely have a Hobbit Christian to smoke joints with.
Dude,
Yeah.
if you do not come visit me and live in my hobbit hole for you as well, I will be sad.
Yo,
Damn
that's
it.
even better. I get to travel now and see
Yeah.
that
Traveling Hobbit.
traveling.
Christian,
Dude.
like I had this actually as a compliment on stream today, and I'm gonna give it to you now. If you were like joining Frodo on the way to Mordor, that movie would have slapped twice as hard, Christian.
I would have clapped. Dude.
Yo, what a
It's like,
fucking compliment.
what's for lunch? Lambda spread. You've got to be fucking kidding me, bro. Are you serious? I can't have another slice of lambda spread. I'm gonna eat you, you motherfucking
Dude,
carry
you
the
can't
rest
lie
of my
that you
way.
don't want to at least try some lambda's bread, dude.
Dude, I would love to try that shit. How does it feel to eat like a
I think
block?
it must be uncomfortable. Like it's probably gonna expand inside of you, dude. That's
Yeah,
the thing
dude,
that
but-
bothers me.
Ugh.
Yeah, so it's like, as it goes down your throat, you just feel this lump, dude.
Oh, dude, I'm okay. See, like that would be so weird. So, but the interesting thing is, while I was working on this VR project, do you know what I realized? Do you know how incredible computers have gotten? Like, I know we know that already, but there's a difference between suddenly being able to literally generate 3D environment from nothing, dude. From fucking electrons
Bro, yeah, I
running
was about
through
to
a
say,
computer.
just from electrons, dude.
Dude, like, it's new. Like, I don't know if you heard what I was telling Chris. Like, you actually told me at first, where you can add to the set the set of infinity that is reality can be added to with more infinity, bro. Like, what the fuck, dude? The fact that we've gotten to the point where we're like, yeah, tiny little box. It's like television 20 years ago, nobody would understand. It would be so far fetched that maybe
much.
maybe 3% of the populace, not even maybe 0.01% of the populace could realistically.
Johan, you think that more of that populace now understands this?
Dude,
Maybe not
there has-
understand, but it's now a conscious understanding on a like a literal
Like-
level of in the conscious of them.
Intuitive.
Yeah, like it's
Intuitive
literally where
feeling
it
for
wasn't
it.
even a possibility in their scope of consciousness. Now it is.
Yeah, like the thing is, I don't even fully comprehend what that means.
Neither
but
do I.
but you
Neither-
can.
I watched that Rick and Morty episode. I had an intuitive feeling for what they meant about it, but scientifically, mathematically trying to elaborate and quantify it did not make sense in my head.
Yeah, because it's we were actually you weren't here, but I want to iterate it to you as well because I think it's quite incredible. Where Terence McKenna was talking about having knowledge that cannot be articulated, and I think the thing. So I'm going to take it back to the idea that what the consciousness is not aware of is practically doesn't exist, and I think I'd like to hear your opinion on this, but I think that something like DMT and psychedelics had an intrinsic shift in the way what we intuitively understand about the universe. And that's
Do you
why
think
I think
Do you think Alan Watts was into the psychedelics?
yes,
Yeah,
he's
dude.
talked about it, dude.
Yeah.
I've heard talk.
He was actually a big drinker during most of his lectures.
Yeah,
but he was
you know
psychedelic.
that- yeah.
I can believe that. I can
Dude,
firmly believe that.
I remember him talking once. It's a big thing in Zen. Zen is because it's a like I don't want to call it a dumbing down state because it's not.
It's
It's
gamma,
like a more
dude. That's what it is.
Yeah,
like it's literal
but-
gamma. Gamma was released when you drink alcohol.
yeah. What he was actually talking about, a Zen master one day told him before you go meditate, drink a martini. And so for Zen
That's
mastership,
amazing.
dude, alcohol is a big thing. Don't
It's
overdo
like,
it
yes,
again.
I'm meditating every day, bitches.
I am drunk all day. No, don't.
Oh,
don't do
you guys
that.
think I didn't go through that process, bro? That was my enlightenment process in the beginning of the year. I don't know if you'll remember majority of the
dude.
podcasts
We
that we've been
remember,
doing.
dude. Like it
Yeah,
was
I
actually
was
pretty good. You were
drunk.
still very, I would say, enlightened, if you will.
Dude,
Drunk
like,
out of my mind for most of the podcasts that we did in the beginning of the year, man. And
dude,
all of it was still, it's not like I was gone. I was still very much consciously there. It's just in a far more sort of, if for lack of a better word, in a numbed state where my emotional burdens weren't slowing me down, you know.
dude,
Um,
it's like I had something. It's gone. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Hey, that's all I really wanted to say. I think we can actually finish the podcast at this point because we've spoken about an extensive amount for our viewers to process once more.
Sounds like
And
you have do you have lady friend over? Is that what's happening?
wow, Johan, I appreciate the assumption, but no, I'm
just
running on
teasing.
a very small amount of sleep.
I can hear, dude. I can hear. Don't
Chris
worry.
corrects you. He has 20 ladies over right now.
Yeah, in the form of my father, I've got 20 ladies over. So
Send your father
Dude.
good vibes, and I'm sending you good vibes as well, friends. Thank you so much for sharing this podcast with us.
for our viewers out there, love and light, peace and
Yeah.
happiness, prosperity and wholesomeness. Y'all take care of yourselves. Keep remembering that this life is infinite. Nothing matters. Whatever you give meaning to, that's the only thing that actually has weight. So, love
Choose
and
what
light
you
to
want to
y'all,
put weight into.
love
Damn,
and light
dude.
to y'all, brothers. That's what defines your existence. It's not what happens around you, it's how you receive it. Alright, muchachos. Love you guys so much.
You're just like, fuck it, here, take some wisdom. Bah! I'm gonna leave now.
Drops mic.
Just deal with it.
Have a quick vaccine of wisdom. And
Yes, boys.
check you guys at the next one. Love and
Yeah.
light,
Cheers,
brothers.
man. It was nice
Adios.
to have you, dude. Jan, it was nice to have you as well, dude. Thank you, man.
Dude,
Love
Thank
to you.
you, Estian. I love you
Bye.
boys so very much. Bye.
Cheers, everyone.